Lots of people think, what is diversity? And I am going to tell you that diversity does not mean to divide people. It just means that people are different, not because not one group and one group. That's not diversity. And I'm going to start off with telling you a couple of the good things about diversity. Like, if everyone were the same, then we would always get mixed up and people would always get confused. And also diversity. With diversity, we are able to put different strengths together to create all of the things we have today, like buildings and like one person might be an artist and the other an author, and that's how we create like children's books and everything. And that's how we say.
Some people ask, why do we need sameness, and what is it? Sameness is the quality of being alike, and it keeps people from getting into fights over like difficult choices that they have to make, and it keeps people from like starting wars and outbreaks coming out.
Why is diversity important? It is important because it can teach us to be an open and accepting person and to get past differences in people. People who don't cooperate are given the name racist or sexist. Now I'm going to tell you a story about how a person was being separated because of diversity. Well, because he's not the same as the person sitting next to him. On a British Airways flight from Johannesburg, a middle-aged, well-off white South African lady has found herself sitting next to a black man. She calls the cabin crew over to talk about her seating. "What seems to be the problem, ma'am?" asked the attendant. "Can you see?" she says. "You sat me next to a black man. I can't possibly sit next to this disgusting human. Find me another seat." The flight attendant says, "Please calm down, ma'am. The flight is very full today, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go and check and see if we have any seats available in club or first class." The woman cocks a snooty look at the outraged black man beside her and many of the people surrounding her. A few minutes later, the flight attendant returns with the good news, which she delivers to the lady, who can't help but look at the people around her with a smug and self-satisfied grin. "Ma'am, unfortunately, as I suspected, economy is full. I've spoken to the cabin services director and club is full. However, we do have one seat in first class." Before the lady has a chance to answer, the flight attendant continues. "It's most extraordinary to make this kind of upgrade. However, and I had to get special permission from the captain, but given the circumstances, the captain felt that it is outrageous that someone be forced to sit next to such an obnoxious person." With that, she turns to the black man and says, "So if you'd like to get your things, sir, I have your seat ready for you." At that point, the surrounding passengers stood and gave a standing ovation while the black man walked up to the front of the plane.
If everyone were the same, it would stop a lot of childhood teasing, giving the child a longer, happier life. The sameness would stop constant conflict between teenagers and their constant need of higher class. Sameness would bring less stress, less poverty problems. Everyone would have homes. There would be no competition, no upper, middle, or lower classes. No struggle for jobs, no healthcare problems, same education, and the same kind of food. These reasons would lead many people happy and healthy lives.
If we were all the same and there was a problem with like cancer and we were all thinking of the same idea and we couldn't think of another idea, this would cause a problem because we were all the same and we wouldn't be able to think of something different. It would just all be the same thing and nobody would have a different idea.
going with my opponent's just saying, all the people that have sameness, like in The Giver, they're all perfect. They don't have anything really wrong with them, so they wouldn't really have that problem of having everybody have cancer or not, like everybody having the same cure.
Going to what she said, The Giver is just a book. If it were somewhere, like we had a theory that it was in a dome where the weather was perfect, there probably wasn't anything wrong, but if you were in a world like ours with their community, then there probably would be sickness, and like my partner said, there would not be a cure because we would all think the same thing. And if you got lucky and it did work, then you would, but it wouldn't work with every sickness.
But in a perfect community of sameness, we wouldn't have any problems. There would be no hills or no diseases, or there wouldn't even be any problems where we would all think of the same thing, because we aren't even asking each other anything about diseases, so there wouldn't really be a reason to try to figure out a cure for it.
My question is, what would the world be like if everything was the same and there was no one that was different? No one could be standing out of the crowd. They couldn't have certain talents. They would all be the same. They'd be just plain people in this one place, and they wouldn't have different things to compare. They wouldn't be they wouldn't learn different things. They'd be doing the same thing every day and doing nothing different. They'd be basically living every day of their life just over and over again.
Well, answering your question, all of the people, when they have sameness, they don't have feelings, so they wouldn't really care if nobody stood out in a crowd because they don't know any different from that. So it wouldn't really matter to them.
Would you please dismiss the 7th and 8th grade boys basketball?